My assholism got the better of me at work too, because I had an actual fist fight with a guy at work. I mean, that stuff's supposed to stay inside, right?
Our levels are peeking the fuck out of this little machine because it's on our diaphragms.
Get that out of your pants.
Oh, stop with that joke.
All right, well,
Is that your favorite joke?
No, my favorite joke is about two frogs that go into a bar.
Stop.
All right.
That's so 1970s. Who the fuck even knows what a diaphragm is anymore?
Someone must. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe people use them. I don't know.
What do they use today? I mean, what do they call them today? The little thing looks like a T that you shove up your... What is that thing?
That's
What is that thing called?
Oh, I almost got one once. They have to insert it, surgically insert it.
Right.
An IUD.
An IUD.
That's painful.
Something device, yeah.
My
Internal
cervix.
uterary device. I don't know, but yeah, so... How about the joke with the two little boys?
Let's do it at the sign-off.
You do it.
We definitely need a joke.
You're joking,
Do you
right?
remember exactly how to tell it?
I don't know. I mean, I could figure it out. I mean, yeah. Two little kids walk into a bar, right?
What? No.
No.
Two little kids do not walk into a bar.
No.
Anyway, let's go.
Okay. So.
Hi, boss.
Hi, P.
We did tonight's recording in two pieces, right? Because you were so tired and grumpy yesterday that you didn't want to finish
Hey,
it.
be careful how you use the G word. Tired's fine.
Okay.
Was I grumpy, really?
You were mad at me.
I was mad at you, but that's
Yeah,
different than being
okay.
grumpy. Yeah, and I had every right to be mad at you. But aside from that, I'm sure you have something you want to talk about. What would you like to talk about?
I want to talk about convict ingenuity. Can you think of any times where convict ingenuity has gone bad?
P, seriously? You're making weapons out of things, right? That's convict ingenuity. There are bad things.
Mm-hmm.
You can't go to commissary and buy a pocket knife, right? You can't go to commissary and buy a gun. You know, you can't buy any kind of a bow and arrow. You can't buy any kind of weapon, right? So the weapons in prison have to be made, and they're made through the convict ingenuity, right? So there's a bad side to that too, I guess, or a negative side to it. But then again, if you need a weapon, you got to have a weapon, right? So you have to build it. So I don't know. I guess it's negative, and then I guess it's not negative. I'm not really sure.
So, did you have a weapon?
Yeah, always. I had a weapon every facility. So when you transfer, you don't take your weapon with you. You can't, right? But as soon as you get where you're going, you get to know who's where or who's what, and you get a weapon.
What was your weapon of choice or your usual weapon? And would you lose it or get it confiscated and then get another one? And
Yeah, you always had it. I mean, whenever they found it or it got confiscated, you know, or yeah, you always had to get another one, sure.
And where would you keep it?
Depends on where I was at, right? So if I was on a company, normally my weapon was outside of my cell. I keep it taped to the outside of the bars where the cops can't see it.
Why wouldn't they be able to see that?
They can't get on the outside of the bars, right? What are they, fucking Tinkerbell?
Oh, you mean in the back?
Yeah, so I put it someplace where it couldn't be seen. Hide it someplace where it couldn't be seen on the bars or someplace outside of my cell. And they would find them once in a while and confiscate them. But they couldn't do anything about it because it's not in my possession. It's in what you call a common area. So whose is it? Don't know. Everybody comes in here. So that's where I was always hide my weapon in a common area.
Was it a shank usually?
Yeah, it was always a shank for me. Yeah.
One that you made?
Yeah, usually.
Out of what?
Steel. You know, sometimes I would go, like you could go different places. You could go, say, to a small engines repair shop, for instance, right? Almost every facility teaches small engines. It's a useless fucking trade. You can't use it on the street, but almost every facility has a small engine repair shop where you learn how to rebuild small engines, weed whackers, lawnmowers. Stupidest program on the planet. Because if you spend $85 on a weed whacker or $185 on a weed whacker, use it 2 seasons and it don't start the 3rd season, you are not taking it to a repair guy and spend $100 or $200 more to get it fixed. You're going right to Home Depot and buying another one, and that one's going in the garbage. So it's a useless program.
Yeah.
But anyway, I would
They
go in
wanted
there.
you guys to be able to fix their stuff, right?
Yeah, you'd have to fix all the facility stuff, yeah. I mean, but it just happens to be one of those programs, you know, that has been in the system for the past 60, 70 years. And 60 years ago, it was a viable program because 60 years ago, you did fix your lawnmowers, you did fix your hedgers, right? So it was before the disposable society got running full blast. So it was viable then. But all these years later, it's the same program and it's useless, you know?
Yeah.
So I would go in there and I'd take a blade off a lawnmower and break it in half and carve my shank out of that. Take a broom handle, cut 6 or 8 inches off a broom handle, depending on how big the shank was going to be. Split that in half, put it on there for a handle, tape it up, put a couple screws in it, tape it up, and sharpen the thing up on a grinder, and bingo, got a shank.
How long would the blade be?
Depends, you know, on what I was doing it for. If I was making it to do something specific with it, I'd probably try to get 6 or 8 inch blade. If I was making it to stash and carry for my own protection, then I didn't want any more than about 4 or 5 because I have to stash it on my person.
You're telling me that if you wanted to stab someone's vital organ, then you had to make it 6 inches?
Yeah,
Or is that what
over
you're telling
4.
me?
Yeah, it has to be over 4. That's why most pocket knives and everything are 4 inches. You know, that's why there's a law that you can carry a pocket knife in New York City 4 inches.
God damn you. Can I ask you something that we've never talked about?
You always do.
I know that you were stabbed once and you were considered DOA when you arrived at the hospital. What is that story like? Well, what were you stabbed with? You don't have to tell me why.
So I was stabbed with an ice pick by 3 guys. 3 guys had an ice pick. So you've seen ice picks on TV. You know what an ice pick is, right?
3
Everybody
guys
knows,
with
right?
1 ice pick?
No, 3 guys had 3 ice picks. So they were homemade ice picks. They were probably, the blades on them were probably 9 or 10 inches long, and they were, you know, sharpened to a point, and they had handles on them. And so I was stabbed with those. So the problem with an ice pick is it pokes a perfectly round hole, you know, that doesn't really, it doesn't close. And you bleed on the inside, so it's internal bleeding that you got going on. It doesn't really show on the outside because it's just a small hole on the outside. It's the size of a pencil, but on the inside you're torn up really bad because they really just poke through everything, you know. So I was stabbed with ice picks. Three guys came after me with ice picks. It was Clinton Correctional Facility, and I was DOA at Plattsburgh Hospital.
Where were you when it happened?
In the yard. I was out in the yard. I was carrying. So the way Clinton is set up, they've got this, you know, you have courts. I think we talked about this. You have a barrel on the court where you can cook food, and you have six guys assigned to the court. And but you have to walk down this long, winding lane that's probably 300 yards from where my court was to get to where the water is at. Now in the summertime they run water lines and you can get water pretty much anywhere, but in the wintertime, because water freezes, they take the lines out, they drain the pipes, and you have to walk all the way to the bathroom, which is probably 300, 400 yards away. So when it was your turn to get water, everybody had to take a turn because it's such a pain in the ass. And you need water for everything. You need water to cook, you need water to wash the dishes, you need water to wash the court. So you need water for everything. So when it's your turn to get the water, you would take 2 5-gallon buckets, 1 in each hand, walk down to the bathroom, fill the buckets up, and carry them back up the hill, that 300 yards, 1 in each hand, to the court, and then your water duty was done. You know, it was the next guy's turn when it came time for more water. So it was my turn, and I was walking back up the hill with 2 5-gallon buckets of water when they attacked me. So my hands were full the instant that they attacked me. So they got me pretty good. They caught me off guard.
From the back?
Back and front, yeah, there was 3 of them. So 1 in the front, 1 in back, and 1 on the side. So they got me pretty good.
And they just started stabbing you with these long, skinny things?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no talking about it. They weren't coming to, you know, take me on a date. They were coming to kill me. They weren't coming to talk. So they didn't announce themselves like, hey, you motherfucker. They just started stabbing me, you know. So it was a contract. So they were coming for the contract.
Was it over really quickly?
Yeah, I mean, probably 30 seconds, less than a minute. You know, they just ran up and whack, 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 and took off, right? So they didn't want to get caught, obviously. So, and it doesn't take long to kill a person, you know. I mean, the person can lay there and bleed out, or you know, he can die while you're leaving, right? So it doesn't take long to kill someone. It's rarely like you see it on TV where the guy sits there and moans and, you know, oh, you stabbed me, you killed me, I'm gonna die. You know, it's actually pretty quick.
And did you just pass out?
No, I didn't pass out. I made it back up to the court. I mean, probably shock or whatever, but I was bleeding internally and nothing was showing on the outside. So I took the water on up to the court. I made it back up to the court and told Tramp, you know, what had happened. And he said, what are we going to do? I said, well, I don't have a weapon. I got to go get a weapon. I know who they are. I'll take care of it, you know. So I didn't think I was hurt that bad, actually.
You weren't bleeding?
On the inside.
Not on the outside?
Not very much at all on the outside. So I didn't think I was hurt that bad, you know. I didn't know it was ice picks to begin with, you know, at the time. So I thought I was just shanked. So I didn't think it wasn't that big of a deal. I didn't think I was hurt that bad. So on the next yard run, I went to my cell on the next yard run. You know, they have every hour on the hour you can go in or go out. And so on the next yard run, I went back to my cell to get my weapon, to get my shank. And when I got into my cell, I couldn't get out. That's when I realized I was hurt worse than I thought, because I couldn't get back out of the cell. So I laid down on the bed there just to catch my breath and relax. And of course, the cell closed because it's electric doors. And so the cell closed and I was locked in now for that next yard run. And that was the last yard run. There was no more going out. That was the last yard run for the night. The next run was coming in and that was it. You're done for the night. So Tramp was my neighbor. When he came in, he seen me laying on the bed and my stomach was all distended. It was all blown out. And I was in really good shape then. I was working out and I was all muscular, had a six-pack. And so he knew right away something was wrong, you know. So he went down and told the cop, he said, hey, there's something wrong with, you know, this guy. Go take a look at him. So cops came down and I guess by that time I was already unconscious. I don't remember them coming down or taking me out. So they came down and checked me and seen that I'd been, you know, attacked. Got a stretcher, a couple guys carried me out, ambulance showed up, took me to Plattsburgh Hospital. I remember waking up at Plattsburgh Hospital and I remember an intern, a doctor, a nurse, somebody saying just push him over against the wall and we'll tag him later. I remember that vividly. So they thought I was dead then. So I was DOA. They actually wrote me down as DOA at Plattsburgh Hospital. So I do remember that much. And then I remember waking up 6 days later. And that's when I realized that, you know, I had been stabbed and I was in the hospital and all that came back.
What had happened? What did they stab? Was it organs or an artery or like what?
Yeah, they cut up my intestines. My lower small intestine was cut up pretty good, and some muscles in my stomach. So what happened is they had ripped my intestine open, and all of that stuff from my intestines went into the cavities. So they had to flush me out. So that they put me in an induced coma. I think it was 6 days, 4 or 6 days, something like that. I was gone, I was out. So when I woke up, I had already started healing, you know, by that time. They put me in that coma and the worst of it, I didn't even experience, you know.
Wow. Are you all basically normal now? Your intestines?
Define normal. What's normal, man? I guess I'm as normal as I'll ever be. I don't have any effects from it that I know of, you know. I mean, who knows later, you know, years down the road, maybe something will come up, but
yeah.
I don't seem to have any physical restraints from it or anything that holds me back, no.
So they had made those things, those ice picks, out of what?
You can make them out of a lot of things. We used to take the bed springs and straighten out the bed strings and make picks out of that. Corrections wised up, got rid of all the bed springs. Now it's all steel beds, so you can't make them out of bed springs anymore. But you can take a plastic clothes hanger, put it in a pencil sharpener, put some tape on it for a handle, and that is a monster weapon because it doesn't ring in the metal detectors or anything. It's plastic.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you ever see those guys again?
No. My crew took care of those guys. Before I got back, those guys were gone.
Dead?
We're not going to talk about that. But they were gone by the time I got back, so I didn't have them to deal with. They were already dealt with. But that's the threat in prison, right? Getting shanked, to get stuck. It used to be a mop ringer and getting stuck. Those were the two things that you had to fear the most, you know?
What do you mean a mop? I don't want to ask, right? Am I afraid to ask? I mean, I'm afraid to ask. But
Okay, you've seen janitors that mop the floor, and they put their mop in that thing and pull the handle down, and it wrings the water out of it. It's on the bucket, and it comes out when you want to change the water on the bucket, and you put it back in.
yeah.
So those things used to be metal, used to be steel. And guys would wait, they'd be mopping the floor or something. Maybe they had a contract on a guy, or a guy said something to them or something. And they'd just be mopping the floor, not paying attention, you know, but in actuality, they were super aware of who was coming. And when this guy would walk in front of them, they'd reach down, take the mop ringer out, use it like a fucking bat, and smash their skulls with it. So it was,
Oh my God.
hit them with the mop ringer. That thing weighs a good 10 pounds. You swing that full, a good 10 pounds, steel hitting the back of your head, it ain't good. It ain't pretty. And now all the mop ringers statewide are plastic for that reason.
How big was your crew at Clinton?
Well, it depends on the situation. The crew could be 5 guys that I'm walking with, or 105 guys that decide to join the crew and do what I got going on. So it would be different, you know, depending on the situation. But I always had a crew of 5 or 10 guys at all times. It was never smaller than 5 guys.
These are people who were dedicated to you, who were like, I mean, you guys were all sort of a posse, right?
Yeah,
Supporting
these
each
were
other.
my sergeants, my lieutenants, my captains. These were my guys. And then they had their crews. So my crew guys had their own crews. So as shot caller, when I called the crews, those were the crews that showed up. All of my guys and their guys. So it could be 30 guys, 230 guys.
What is the most creative weapon you saw someone make on the inside?
Probably zip guns.
What is that?
So back when men were men and sheep were nervous,
Oh my God.
back when cars had antennas, metal antennas, right? You could go to the auto body class or the auto shop, and you could break the antennas off the cars. And you could make like 4 zip guns, maybe 5, out of one antenna. You know, so you could make your own gunpowder, or you could, you know, get bullets in. So most guys just got bullets. So you could get like a 22 bullet, a 22 long brass 22, and that would fit perfectly inside of that antenna, and that's your barrel. And then all you need now is a rubber band and a striker, and you've got yourself a gun, right? So it's called a zip gun because it zips down the barrel.
What is a typical shank?
Typical shank is something you can make it like a lot of guys make them out of toothbrushes, but ideally you want one coming out of the metal shop. So guys who work in like the metal shops where they make chairs and furniture, welding, things like that, they'll take, you know, a 1/2 inch by 1/4 inch piece of steel by, you know, 6 or 8 inches long and sharpen it into an actual knife, put a handle on it, and take it to the yard and sell it.
What's the handle?
It could be a mop handle or a broom handle that they cut and split in half, and you screw it on just like a regular knife, and they'll sand it and burn it with a lighter so it's got a nice finish on it, and you know, it looks dangerous.
So it could be several inches long, like a real knife.
It has to be. If it's only 3 or 4 inches long, you know, it's okay to protect yourself if someone comes at you, because if you stick a 3-inch shank in somebody, they're gonna feel it. You know what I mean? But most shanks are like 6, 8, or 12 inches long, because usually if you're coming after somebody with a shank, you're not coming to be friendly. Usually you want to hurt them really bad, or you want to kill them.
So don't you guys have to go through metal detectors and stuff?
Absolutely.
How do you do this?
Depends on what you're doing, you know, where you're at. So let's say I'm in A block, but I got a beef with a guy in B block and he won't come out. I need to get to B block. I need to get to him and I want to shank him.
You're scaring me.
It happens, right?
Right.
So let's say you're in A block and you want to get to a guy who's in B block. You can't get your shank from A block to B block because there's a metal detector in the hallway that you have to go through to go from A block to B block. So how do you get your shank there? What do you think? Any ideas? How would you get your shank?
Through a CO. You schmooze a CO. You fucking hustle someone. You hustle a CO, right?
You could hustle a CO, right? But you probably wouldn't for a weapon exchange. I mean, there are COs who bring actual knives and stuff in and sell them, you know?
Oh, that's dark.
Yeah,
That's
but
fucked
true.
up.
Right. So, but you
Jesus,
wouldn't.
that's so fucked up.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I
He's like
say-
the king at gladiator school who sits as a spectator and
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he goes out and spends $6 on a knife, brings it in and sells it for 100. So there you go. And he'll do that until he gets caught, right? But so there's ways to do it, right? So every day supplies have to go from one block to another. Every day the supply truck leaving the supply room has to go to A block, B block, C block, D block, E block, etc., etc., etc. every day. So I go catch the runner that runs from A block to B block and say, hey, I need this to go over there and I need it placed in this place where I can get to it. How much? Pay him what he wants, hand him the blade. Next day, go to B block. There's my blade, pick up my blade, go do what I need to do.
How would you know the location to send it? You would know someone who was over there? Or?
Sometimes, and if you knew someone over there, sometimes you would just borrow theirs. You just say, do me a favor, man, I'm coming over. I got to take care of something. I need something. All right, I got you. A lot of times that was the case,
If that was the case, you would say leave it in the bathroom in stall number 2? Or if you'd never been there, how would you know of a location?
All the blocks are the same to begin with, right? Or if
It's like a cookie cutter.
Yeah, and if I didn't know where to put it, like certain COs check certain places all the time, but they always check the same fucking places, so where they're gonna check because they're just fucking lazy, right? So anyway, I would say to him, hey, I'm coming over tomorrow. I'm gonna need to borrow this from you, and he'd either say, I'll see you when you get there, or I'll leave it on the windowsill for you. You know what I mean, or someplace. So it would be pre-established where it was gonna be.
How many people do you think you've stabbed? It's not going to change anything.
Yeah.
You don't have to tell me though.
I am going to say...
I mean, you just stabbed a CO the other day, so...
Yeah, I mean... I don't want to say an actual number because I don't know what the actual number is. But I can say that I never... initiated stabbing someone. I never said, I'm gonna go stab that motherfucker. I never did that. I can assure you of that.
They said suck my dick, so they started the violence first and then you...
I wouldn't stab you for saying suck my dick. I beat the shit out of you. I beat the piss out of you for that, right? But if you come at me with a weapon, then I'm gonna pull a weapon. You see? Mm-hmm. And that's it.
What are the most entertaining failed weapons in prison? The biggest lack of convict ingenuity fails?
Oh, I don't know. Guys making shanks out of stuff that's just not strong enough, and then they go to stab somebody and it just snaps off and breaks, And I've seen that. A guy will make a shank out of some plastic that's just too brittle, It's always funny to see the doe eyes when that happens. Because then they got that look on their face like, oh fuck, what do I do now? Because now I don't have a weapon and he does, So, oh my God.
I heard about people making weapons out of the tops of cans.
Can tops, yeah, they're razor sharp, man. They'll take your head right off. They are, Department of Corrections is in a panic or in a negotiations trying to figure out how to get cans out of prison right now because they are so dangerous. They've been trying to do it for about 6-7 years now, and they haven't been able to do it. Do not want cans in prison anymore.
Because they sell a lot of canned goods in the commissary?
Yeah, everything is in cans, yeah. Cans and pouches. The problem is pouches are so expensive, right?
Yeah.
So, you buy a can of beans, and the can of beans is 75 cents. You buy a pouch, it's $1.75. So they can't really justify taking all the cans out of commissary with the price difference.
So inmates have can openers?
Yeah, you sell them in commissary. Mechanical
and what are
can
they
openers.
meant to do with the tops of cans when they take it off?
Well, they're supposed to throw them in the recycle bins, and some facilities have what they call a can box, a lid box. It has a little slot cut in the top, and there's a padlock on it, and you're supposed to drop your can top in there. You're supposed to rinse it off, drop it in there when you open the can, and then they change that periodically. So, but everybody uses can tops for everything. For knives, you're cooking in the kitchen, cutting up pepperoni, cutting up whatever. You just take a can top that you open the can up, fold it over, and that's your knife to cut everything. You don't have knives in prison. Everything is plastic. So, what are you gonna do, right? Use a can top for a knife.
So, status update.
So I'm 6 months into my torture in the real world. I guess we're supposed to call it, freedom, right? Six months into my freedom. I don't feel free. Today As an example, I had a really bad day today. I woke up with the cloud again, but today the cloud had a different form. You know, I spoke about that cloud before that chases me, and it feels like it's running me down, you know? And I think I dissipated that cloud. I beat that cloud, right? But it's come back in a different form. So it's come back in like a ring of madness. I'm going to call it assholism. Okay, so let's call it a ring of assholism. Is that cool?
I like it. Okay. Maybe it's appropriate. We'll see.
Okay, so that's what we're going to call it. We're going to call it the ring of assholism. So this ring of assholism, it just makes me an asshole. And I can really be an asshole, you know? I've had a lot of practice. But the thing is, my assholism can be inappropriate. It can be aimed at people or things that don't necessarily deserve it. It could be something as simple as a waitress bringing me a cold cup of coffee, and my assholism is coming out, you know, like, the fuck is wrong with you? You think I paid for a cold cup of coffee? Take this shit back, idiot. Inappropriate. That's assholism 101. You know,
you would never say that.
I would never say that, but that's assholism.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to define what assholism is, right? So people understand what assholism is. But you're right. I would never say that. But
you suffer from assholism.
Yes, and the potential to say that is there. Okay, but today I let some things that have been building up over time get the better of me, and I let them attach themselves to this ring of assholism. And I was an asshole all day to this person, and this person did not deserve this. I mean, we had our differences and we had things that we needed to work out, but my assholism would not allow me to let those things go for a later time, or maybe fix one of those things. You know, if there's 5 things that you need to discuss, maybe you discuss one and you kind of try to fix that, and then maybe, you know, touch another one later. But my assholism just put them all together. It's like, no, motherfucker, we're going to talk about all of these right now, and you're going to fucking talk about them, and you're going to understand what the fuck I'm talking about, and you're going to like it. Fuck you. That's how it's going to be. And that's assholism 101 right there. And that's how I was all day today. I was just an asshole to everybody all day today. And I think it's because that cloud took on a different form. It used to be I would wake up with the cloud chasing me, and I would run from the cloud, but couldn't outrun it. It was going to catch me, and it was going to squash me. And it would do that daily, this cloud. Now, over these weeks, since I've been able to dissipate this cloud, now it has a hole in it. So if you can picture a smoke ring, you've seen people blow smoke rings? So picture this ring of assholism. Some things will pass through it, some things may pass around it. But anything that attaches to it, man, listen, it's like a Rottweiler holding onto a bone. It ain't letting go. And I'm just going to run it and talk it and run it and start problems with it until it's done, until I'm satisfied that it's fixed. I'm not letting it go. And that's how I was all day today. I had an actual fist fight with a guy at work. I mean, that stuff's supposed to stay inside, right? So
what the fuck?
Yeah, my assholism got the better of me at work too, because because I'm an asshole when that takes a hold of me, right? So the guy accused me of being something that I've never been, something that when you accuse me of it, I feel like you're playing a card, and I don't tolerate it. So the guy accused me of being a racist. He called me a white motherfucker. He's a dark-skinned Spanish guy. He's Peruvian, actually. He's from Peru. And he accused me of being a racist. He called me a white motherfucker and said that the only reason I got the job is because I'm a white motherfucker, because his Peruvian friends got fired. 2 guys got fired before me that were friends of his who were from Peru. And it turns out they got fired because they couldn't do the job, not because they were from Peru, because he's still working there, right? So it couldn't be that. But anyway, the guy accused me of being a racist, and I told him, I said, listen, man, I'm not a racist, and don't accuse me of that again, and he said, fuck you, white boy, you're a fucking racist, and I'm gonna. And he never got past I'm gonna, because what's the rule?
Don't back down and step forward.
Step forward. If a guy's telling you what he's gonna do to you, don't wait for him to finish. So he never got past I'm gonna. And I knocked him flat on his ass. So it started a fight from there. And
he fought back?
Yeah, he got up. Yeah, I give him credit. He got up. Fucker got up. So, cold one.
Sorry, it's time.
It's
I
beer.
didn't need to drink this down while I hear this story.
Yeah, so he got up and it was a fight. We had a fight. We probably fought for 5 minutes or so, you know. He got in a couple of punches. He could fight a little bit, but you could tell he wasn't a fighter, you know. But so anyway, it turned into a fight, and I beat him up, and his buddies pulled him out and said, you know, he's had enough, and so I let it go at that. I didn't punch him in the face, you know. I made sure I didn't punch him in the face. For some reason, there was this little voice in my mind going, don't mark him, you know, don't mark him. And so I didn't. I just gave him all body shots. He hit me in the ear, hurt my ear a little bit. But yeah, so, I mean, that's what it was. It was a fight over the guy calling me a racist. When I could have just said, you know, fuck you and walked off, right? He called me a racist. It's words. He didn't hurt me, right? But I guess it's the mentality. It's the prison, right? I mean, you can't walk away, right? I have to learn that, right? I have to learn to walk away. So I guess that's just another stage of assholism, you know? A normal person walks away, right? If someone called you a racist, would you want to fight?
No.
Because you're a normal person. Somebody calls me a racist, I take it personal. I'm like, wait a minute, you don't know me. You're not going to call me a racist. I do what I can do to help everybody I can help, so I'm not going to tolerate you putting me in that niche. No, you're not doing that to me. Not going to happen. And that's where my brain went in. That's where my fists went.
Oh, so did anybody witness this besides his friends?
Yeah, my boss seen it. There was a few people watching it. Yeah, because it was right in the garage. So it was right in the garage, right in the morning. You know, the guy had. The guy sought me out. You know, I didn't go looking for him. He came looking for me. You know, so yeah, some people seen it. My boss seen it. Yeah.
Did he talk to you about it?
Yeah, he patted me on the back. He said, "I've been wanting to whoop that guy's ass for a long time." So it kind of, yeah. So it kind of turned, yeah, because I guess the guy had called him a racist too, but not to his face, behind his back. I guess he'd been telling other people that he was a racist because he's the one who actually fired the other two guys. But he told me he fired him because they couldn't do the job. He said one of them he caught sleeping upstairs, so he fired him. He said the other one just couldn't do the job. So, you know, he said he was a mechanic when he hired him, and then turns out he's not a mechanic, so you can't pay a guy $30 an hour to do a job he can't do. You can't run a business that way. So he fired him.
Holy shit. So is this the only actual physical fight you've had since you've been out? Or are there others you haven't told me about? There are others? Oh my God, there are others. I see your face.
Yeah, me and Little were on the train right after I got out. Little was teaching me to use the train, and this guy slapped his little boy on the train. The kid must have been maybe 4 years old, 5 years old. And he was sitting across from me in the car, and Little was sitting next to me. And the little boy was being a little boy. He was being troublesome, making noise, you know, and his dad slapped him in the face, and I slapped his dad. I just stood up and slapped the shit out of him, knocked him right out of the chair. And then Little stood up and said, "How'd you like that? Did it feel good?" So that wasn't really a fight, but that could have sent me back. I hadn't been out. I don't think I was out 2 weeks when that happened. I never told you that because I knew you'd be so mad.
What also makes me feel really bad for that boy, because you know that boy got it worse when he got home.
I didn't think about that at the time. I just thought about what my father used to do to me, and I couldn't. I had to do something. I didn't think about doing something. I just did. You know what I mean? I didn't say, oh, maybe I should slap this guy. I just instinctively, when he slapped that kid, I just slapped him right back. Like, how do you like it? You know? And you may be right. Maybe I made it worse. I don't know. But it wasn't something I thought about. It was instinct for me.
Wow. Are those the only two incidents?
Yeah, that's all we're going to talk about. Yeah.
That's all we're going to talk about. What else is there? There's more?
Well, there was another one where...
How did that anger management class work out for you? You passed it with flying colors, didn't you? Because you're so fucking smooth.
I passed that anger management colors with a perfect record. Yeah, class with a perfect record. But here's the thing, right? I guess I can manage my anger, right? But I manage it in my own way, right? So
you're like, I'm managing it. I'm just fucking hitting people.
If I don't if I don't manage it in a way that's acceptable to you, then you're fucked up, not me, right? So what I'm getting at is, I feel like if you see something and don't say something, then you're just as bad as the person doing it. If you're hanging around a bunch of your friends and they're talking about racist things and you don't say something, you're just as bad as they are. You know what I mean? I'm the guy who says something. I always say something. I don't tolerate it. You know, I feel like everybody's equal, everybody's the same until you're not. So in my book, you're welcome at my table, you're welcome in my circle until you're not. It doesn't matter what color you are, what race you are, it doesn't matter what your gender is or what your sexual preference is. I don't care. All I care about is what you bring to my table. If you bring love, honor, and respect to my table, that's what you'll find. If you bring drama to my table, that's what you'll find. And so when people sit at my table or in my circle and say things that are unacceptable to me, I say something. You're going to slap a kid on the train? I'm probably going to slap you. You're going to slap your wife? I'm probably going to slap you. That's just how I am. You're going to scream at your wife on the train? I'm probably going to get right in your face and scream at you. See how you like it. That's just how I am.
So what is it like at work now with that other guy?
He quit. The other guy quit. Yeah, he quit.
So what do you mean you beat him up? So you kept hitting him when he was down, or?
No, I don't hit people when they're down. I don't kick people in the face. I don't do that, no. He came at me, so he threw the first punch, right? After, of course, you know, he threatened me. That's the first punch, right? So when he started to fight with threatening me, I knocked him on his ass. He got up and came at me. So when he got up and came at me, I just body punches, you know, kidney shots, heart punches, things like just everything below the neck, because I didn't want to mark him. I don't want to walk around with a black eye and all the big bosses going, whatever that guy's eye, because somebody's going to tell him, and that's it, I'm fired, you know? So I had the presence of mind not to mark him, so I just body shots, that's all.
This don't mark him, that comes from prison because you can't?
It does, instinctively comes from prison, because if you're walking around in prison with a black eye, a CO's going to go, what happened to you? You know? And if you say, oh, well, you know, nothing, boss, I'm playing basketball, they're like, okay, that's cool, keep it moving, you know? And that's supposed to be your response. I was playing basketball. They know you weren't. They know you're in a fight. But if you say, you know, so somebody threw a punch at me, or if you give the appearance of that, now you know, you're tagged. You know, you're tagged. You're told. You're a rat. So it's better not to be marked at all. It's better.
So if you just walk around with a black eye, you are a rat?
No.
If you tell them, if you don't say it.
If the CO says, what happened to your eye? And you say, you know, I had a little problem out in the yard.
Yeah.
Really? Now you're a rat, right? Because the CO was testing you. That was a test, dude. You were supposed to say basketball, handball, anything but a problem in the yard. So you failed that test. You're a rat. You didn't tell that time, but you will if the pressure's on. If it's you or me, you're going to tell on me. That's the test, right? Do you see it?
Yeah.
Right.
So also about your boss, he knows all about you, it seems, right?
Yeah, he's looked me up. Yeah, he knows my story. He knows about. I mean, I don't talk to him about me. That's off limits. You know, I've made that clear that that's off limits. I don't want that to follow me around at work. Outside of the podcast, outside of you and a couple of other close-knit people to me, that life doesn't exist anymore if I can help it. You know, when assholism takes over, that life is there, right? I mean, like I said, if you're going to slap your kid in front of me, I'm going to slap the shit out of you too. You know, it's just going to happen. I don't think I'll ever not be able to do that. If you know, if you're gonna scream and yell at your wife or your kids or something, I'm probably gonna get right in your face like Sam Kinison and give it right back to you. You know, because I don't like it. I don't like it. But I try to be as normal as possible, right? So that's assholism. So that's what I woke up with this morning. I woke up with a case of assholism, and I turned it on someone near and dear to me. And I mean, you know what? In the end, it turns out. It was a positive thing in the end. It turned out good for us, but it could have turned out just as bad. So, but the fight at the job didn't turn out good, right? The thing on the train, I mean, I got away with it, but like you said, maybe the kid got it worse when he got home, so maybe it didn't turn out good. So 1 out of 3 is not good odds. So assholism probably officially is not a good thing.
You think?
Yeah.
All right, signing off.
Okay, thank you for tuning in.
Thanks
Hope
for
you got
tuning
something
in.
good. And
Time crime time. Don't
Time
do
crime?
it. Don't do it.
do it if you want to, but you're gonna do the time. And what can you not do?
Don't use any shanks made of plastic.
Yeah,
That
don't
will
trust a
just
plastic
bend up.
shank. Yeah, get your ass whooped.
Unless it's from a plastic coat hanger.
Yeah, there you go. Or
See, I sort of paid attention.
Some thick plastic. Yeah.
And you can't do time without a lot of convict ingenuity, otherwise you're going to be fucked.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're gonna have to pay for ingenuity from another inmate, and don't do that.
And I'm not there to give you the deal, so they're gonna abuse you on prices. It's gonna be brick after brick after brick, and shit's just gonna pile up, and you're never gonna get caught up, man. Never get caught up. You'll be looking for saltine crackers and peanut butter. 5 bricks, dude. You're fucked.
So don't do it. I have no idea what you're talking about, but anyway, don't do it.
Don't do the crime if you can't do the time. Prison is no fucking joke.
Don't ever go back. Don't do any more time.
I'm not gonna do any more time.
Okay.
Good.
You don't know how many people you stabbed in your lifetime?
Yeah, I have a really good idea of that, and I do not know an exact number. Run the tape back.
That's like
what
me
I
with
said.
sex. Sorry, Dad. My dad's listening to us now. Oh, Louie. Paula's room. Go to Paula's room. You fucking kidding me, both of you?
You want me to go to Paula's room?
Go.
We gotta go to Paula's room.
Boss, Paula's room.
Come on, we gotta go.
No, that's the emergency call thing.
No, it's not.
How do you, it says to call 911. Yeah, you're in that page. You cannot do that. You gotta power off and go back to.
There it is. Now it's off.